Well, there was a reason why young men like me came to the West End from all over Canada. It was a huge stock of single, one-bedroom, affordable rental apartments by the thousands. The West End had gone through this high-rise boom in the 60s. It was perfect. You could come there, arrive, chances are find an apartment, and you were near a great park, beaches, close to downtown, lots of service jobs, good transit, everything you needed within walking distance, and a lot of other men like you on the street. So it was, looking back now, a kind of magical golden age, really. From 69, sure, dated from around Stonewall, to 79, beginning of the epidemic, the West End was a perfect, fertile ground. And really, the fabric of the community had been bulldozed, along with those old houses for the high-rises. So it was a possibility of reinventing yourself and a new community. And because in Vancouver, unlike a lot of other places, there wasn't a hostile social environment, nor a political one. In, of course, New York, there was Stonewall, and Toronto, the Bath raids. There were moments when the community really catalyzed to fight what they saw as oppression. But in Vancouver, not so much. I remember when I was first visiting the West End, I walked down Pendle Street past the schoolyard, Lord Roberts, and there was a softball game going on. Stopped and looked and realized it was the police playing the gays. And the gays won. But I figured, this is a town I'd like to be in.
I always say I'm going to be telling the story of that dinner party for the rest of my life. And believe me, if I'd known that it was going to be such an interesting experience, I would have paid much more attention to who I was with and what I was doing. And I was invited to a dinner party at Gordon Price's house.
My recollection is Dr. Mike Maynard, myself, Noah, good friend, and Ron, and a friend of his.
It was just sort of an ordinary, let's get together and have dinner. And then Ron came in waving a copy of The Village Voice.
I can remember exactly where Ron was sitting when he was really insistent. I mean, he was passionate, he was angry even, that nothing was happening. Don't you know what's coming or what's happening? You got to do something.
The article was about GRID, which, as it was then called, gay-related immune deficiency.
And it didn't take really much to motivate us. I'd been subscribing to the New York Native out of New York, and there was a lot of coverage beginning to happen. And even though it didn't seem like it was directly relevant to Vancouver, Ron told us that it was.
I remember distinctly that was when I looked at Mike and said, holy cow, you have a big gay practice. This is really going to be important to you in the months and years to come. And he talked to other gay guys who were doctors who had gay practices, and a bunch of us got together and pretty much started AIDS Vancouver, but it all dates back to that dinner party in November of '82.
In mid-1982, the four of us who were seeing a lot of gay men in our practices, being Doctors Bruce Douglas, Peter Constance, Michael Maynard, and myself, had a lunch. The conversation very quickly turned to the whole phenomenon of the swollen lymph glands and the other somewhat unusual symptoms we were seeing in our patients. Early in 1983, Dr. Maynard contacted me to see if I might consider coming to a meeting that he was having with some other people of a group that is now called AIDS Vancouver. So I went to a meeting, and that continued for the next several years.
I think others were aware something was out there. So it didn't take much for every one of us to agree, well, the first thing we could do, at least, was to have a public meeting. It was very Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, let's have a show. Let's at least do that. And I think we actually started that night. I started putting out calls and thinking, okay, West End Community Center, let's have a meeting.
AIDS Vancouver and any of us concerned with it, our only concern is to make everyone aware of your health.